Today we're going to do Chapter 2, Part 5, and these are the subjects we'll be dealing with. So we were looking at avoiding stress, family events, baby steps, and forgiveness. Going through grief is stressful enough without adding more to your day. You will have different aspects of life and different people who stress you. Your reactions to situations are the clue. When you feel agitated and unable to cope, that is stress. Learn to be aware of these stresses. Work out who are the family and friends you feel stress with, then only contact them when necessary and when you're up to it. Lessen your stress, especially on the bad days. Work out the scenarios which feel uncomfortable and avoid them. If they are unavoidable, only go for a short time or cancel when your resources are low. You have duties and work to consider. However, the most important person is yourself. You are in a difficult place, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Be free to use your cancellation card. I saw this as looking after myself and allowing the grieving process to unfold naturally. There were days I was not functional and dinner was nearly a sandwich. The phone was not answered and I shut myself away from the world. I was, in fact, healing. Other days were easier and I sailed through them and was able to accomplish much more than I thought was possible. Take stock of what is needed and what is not. We often work on our old patterns, not questioning whether it suits us now. Old stresses are easy to see, however these new ones emerging are challenging for us. The will, the extra workload, paying bills and general running of the household are lone projects you have to address. I had days off. I did not check the post or my emails. I allowed a grief-free day without letters addressed to Ray or having to answer more emails regarding his death. During the first few months, I kept away from funerals and bad news. I also did not watch the news. Life can be managed this way. The time out helped me rebalance and be at peace. I also used herbal teas and relaxation to build up my strength. Being alone enabled me to come back to myself and be in a stressless place. Stress is avoidable, but only when you see it and can find ways to navigate around it. There are several practices you can use. Keeping away from difficult or draining people. Drama queens also need to be avoided. Grief creates a huge amount of internal stress, so anyone who's negative will be hard to cope with. Try to see the people who are calm and positive and make you feel better. Write out a list of what is stressing you. The list may contain the little stresses as well as the big ones. Then endeavour to minimize these in your daily life. Delegating jobs helps to lessen your load and it is good to have support. A task which is confronting for you is easy for someone else. Avoid crowds and any event that will cause you stress. Grief is unpredictable and on the low days avoid the stress and stay home. Avoid crowds and any event that causes you stress. Try to keep away from hospitals until you are stronger. Change your route if driving past the place that they died is near you. All these strategies keep your stress meter from going up. Walk away from conflict and do not deal with messy situations when you're not up to it. This is not being weak, it is taking care of yourself. No one understands how you feel. Stress is part of life, but you are able to monitor how much you allow to feature in your world. Now your resources are low and emotionally you are vulnerable. I really try to avoid as much stress as possible. Family events. Initially, the family events are horrible. The missing person feels as large as life even though they have gone. The empty chair, the empty place at the table, and the huge hole they leave. These events will trigger you. Life does go on and you cannot avoid the obvious forever. But while you are struggling through the myriad of emotions and adjustments, shield yourself. The family events continue regardless of your presence or not. I felt disappointed because I could not bring myself to attend a few events that occurred soon after Ray died. I wanted to come from the pleaser perspective, but personally I just could not handle it. There is guilt when you step away, but you are not actually doing anything wrong. No one else is going through the nightmare that you face every hour, day after day. Do not be pressured and learn to say no. When you acquiesce, it only brings stress on you. Use the widow card and cancel. Who cares what they think? They're not dealing with the loss like you are. Losing a partner is profoundly sad and terrifying, and the massive change takes time to come to terms with, and forcing yourself too soon may be detrimental to your healing. You will know when you are ready to face the family events. I'm glad I stepped back and was honest with myself and my family. I was incapable of doing what I had done before as a couple, and that was okay. My life had been shattered, and in a way, so had I. In time you heal and get stronger. It will not be like this forever, but while you are hurting, listen to your inner voice and look after yourself. The intuitive members of your family will give you time and the space you need, and those who cannot quite grasp it will be made aware of your fragile state, and that is good. Baby steps. Begin slowly and don't make unrealistic expectations. Not only are you moving on, you are healing as well. Healing works in bursts, and therefore you might feel at a loss, so be patient. Most of us want to head out of this painful place quickly, but the pain and the hurt need to be dealt with and felt. You will hit the troughs. Often you think it is over, only to find another massive section surfacing. Keep calm and remember, baby steps. It is wiser to nurture yourself and take longer. Otherwise, in your rush, you'll probably have to go back and do it again. You have family and friends who are aware of your fragility, but not all are. Take the time needed and stop trying to be what others want you to be. In a sense, you are crippled and not able to be as you were before. Mostly you will come through these awful situations stronger and wiser, but not when you overstep the threshold. I was a mess. I cried a million tears, was never sure when the tears were about to flood. While I worked on releasing my emotions, trying to be normal added another level of difficulty. People want what is best, but usually they give advice through their own filter. What is healing for one is not healing for another. My time alone was lonely, but it let me move through all the emotions and experience the wider range of feelings. Without being by myself, I could not use the various modalities and come to terms with everything. When I needed help, I asked. My friends sent me healings. Others came to my house and gave me help, bowl healings, massage, Bowen. I chose to limit my work and use the days to work on my issues. After the death, you will be devastated. This may be the worst time in your adult life. It is like being knocked over and your head is simply spinning. Step ahead slowly and stop when you have to. This is where you have to keep watching yourself. You will get through this time, but doing it slowly, using baby steps, will really advantage you. I've included forgiveness, which sounds really strange after someone's died, but there is so much to forgive. You have to forgive the situation, yourself, and sometimes even your partner. It is in forgiveness that you truly move on. Forgiveness means you stop blaming or feeling anger towards a personal situation. You no longer wish to punish them. During grief, there's a great amount of anger and blame. The doctors are blamed and you feel angry because your loved one is dying. Being left behind makes you angry, and how your life turned out does the same. You may be angry at God, your situation, and from being widowed. Once your anger dissipates, forgiving will become easier. I worked for months to let go and to be able to completely forgive. I forgave Ray for leaving me, the situation I found myself in, and most importantly, myself. It took a great deal of work to come to a final sense of forgiveness. However, it taught me that with forgiveness comes peace and healing. Writing out your woes and anger shifts it. Recognizing how angry I was and how much I was punishing myself took time, but it was pivotal in my healing to find forgiveness. Then I told my family that they no longer had to be angry for my situation because I had forgiven everything that had occurred. When the passing has been difficult and without resolution, anger and blame prevail. Not everyone is a good patient or change before they die. Many become even more stubborn and refuse to make retribution. People do not change just because they are facing their death. Often they become more entrenched because they are angry that they are going. Work at forgiveness because it releases you in a way that nothing else does. Stop being angry, blaming and punishing yourself and others. Although it is a normal response, you do not have to live like this forever. To not forgive is a weaker stand than forgiving. It takes much strength and love to be a forgiving person.